So to start it off, I wanted to ask Rooks actually, a lot of times we think about gamers and in our heads we think, oh, there's that guy sitting in his parents' basement playing a first-person shooter, kind of drinking Mountain Dew, right? And the first thing I want to say is that really who the gamer is? You know, and when investors look at gaming, what do they see as kind of the opportunity? And I'll hand it off to Rooks to kind of answer that.
So Eric, you are absolutely wrong.
Yes.
The average gamer today, it's not a teenager in the basement being knocked by his mom to finish. The average gamer, according to statistics, it's 34 years old, educated, with spendable income, and it's about 48% woman. So this is a different profile than what even I imagined when I was thinking of a gamer. There is also a subtle difference between being called and love to be called a gamer, which a lot of people actually don't really relate to, and the answer to do you play games, in which a lot of people, and actually it's 3 billion people plus are playing games. 3 billion, it's almost 1 in 2. So we are actually talking about a very large chunk of the population that is playing games for entertainment, for education, for socializing. So I think that's why we would call beyond gaming, beyond entertainment, gaming, it's covering a lot of areas. So you know what? Investors are not naive and they're not stupid. They realize this is going to grow and it's actually a sizable market. The market last year was around 200 billion. 200 billion in games, okay, if you compare it to automotive, to pharma, it's a chunk. But it's almost equal to pet care. It's almost equal to cybersecurity. And it's growing and growing. So I think, it is my bet, that a lot of non-traditional investors in gaming will start looking at it. This is the good side. I have a lot of bad sides, but I'll stop here.
I would like to also reflect on what Rook said. So, as she mentioned, the global gaming market is growing massively. Now you're speaking, or the market size, the global market size is now valued at more than 200 billion globally, and you're speaking about more than 3 billion total gamers worldwide across all platforms. So everyone is now interested in investing in gaming. However, I would say the business model in the gaming is different, and the opportunity of investment is also different based on the platforms. So you can see that most of the investors usually tend to invest in mobile games rather than PC and consoles. And why is that? Mobile games have, I would say, short development cycle, very profitable, has many revenue streams, and it's investable. So unlike the PC and consoles takes so much time in the development, as well as the revenue is very slow. So it's a bit risky for some of the investors to go with PC, and they prefer to go with mobile games as well.
I'd like to add a brief note, and you have a good point, you know. One of the things that is very prominent nowadays is with NVIDIA's AI system, right? With NVIDIA's AI system and with their GPU-enabled systems for gaming, it's enabling users to have an even more interactive experience. Because back then, you'd encounter the same NPCs, you'd encounter the same situations, right? But now it's more broad than ever before. Game developers are able to do more with games because you're exactly able to do more in different situations. The AI can spawn more unique situations for gamers to enjoy. And things like Unity, things like platforms like Unreal Engine, for example, these are very groundbreaking platforms that leverage user hardware. And it's not even limited to PCs anymore. There's more in mobile as well. So it's a very exciting time for gaming. It's a very exciting time for gamified experiences.
So now my view on gaming has been shattered. I now realize it's a huge market. full of a broad, diverse group of people. On that note, I think, being in the Bay Area, it's easy for us to get focused on like, oh, when we think about gaming, we think of like EA, and we think about all these US-centric games. I want to throw it to Miad and ask a little bit about kind of, as mentioned, most people in the world, and therefore the future market, does not live in the US. What does the gaming industry look like outside of the US, and how do kind of different cultures change the perspective on gaming?
So I'll be speaking about my region, my country. Okay, so the gaming industry in our region is growing massively. I would say now there are lots of initiatives, lots of incubators and accelerators specifically in gaming are now being launched, and you can see that. Like if we're speaking about 3 years ago, I would say there are no industry in our region. But nowadays, now we have launched more than 30 gaming companies in Saudi Arabia, and now we are building a hub for the gaming community in Saudi and in Neom specifically in the Lion City. So I would say the future in Saudi in the gaming industry is huge, and the opportunities are huge. Speaking about our culture specifically, that's what we're currently doing in Starvania. Like literally, that's what we're focusing on. In Starvania, we're trying to really deliver a new perspective to the global gaming market. For example, if we're taking an example, let's say mythologies. Mythologies in the gaming industry are going viral. Gamers loves mythologies. But like how many games have been based on Greek mythologies or Japanese mythologies? A lot. But no one's speaking about Arabian mythologies. How many gamers are here? So you know the game Final Fantasy? So there was a creature in Final Fantasy called Bahamut. It was represented as a dragon and as a Japanese mythology, but the actual origin of this creature is Arabian. Exactly. And it's a huge whale that carries the whole earth in his back. It's not even a dragon. So what we're trying to do here is to really take those mythologies and show the world that this is actually our own original stories that are worth to be told, and there are a lot of like stories, Arabian mythologies, I would say. Especially that when you think about Arabian mythology story, it probably comes to your mind Sindbad or Aladdin or those famous stories, while there are actually a lot of other stories. So by taking these kind of, I would say, traditional experiences in the gaming, but also innovating it with something new to the global gaming market, we can actually deliver a new perspective to the gaming market fan, I would say.
Cool, thank you. So we talked a little bit about gaming, but we are meant to go beyond in this panel. So one thing I want to bring up is, I remember 10 years ago, like the term gamification got very popular. And it was like, great, we can gamify our websites, and United Airlines points as the world's biggest game, right? What is happening now in terms of, I would say, things we're learning from gaming that you think can be applied elsewhere? I'll throw this to Dominic first.
Right. Thank you. So I actually believe in the idea of gamified experiences. So we all know that people play games for fun. And that's great. Games are a very, very entertaining way to pass time and as well as to bond. But in addition to that, gamified experiences actually can help users develop more practical skills. And what do I mean by this? For example, Caterpillar, they use a certain game that enables users to practice driving a specific vehicle, one that is dual autonomy and one that involves the user actually driving it. So for such newer technologies, the only way for users to embrace failure is to de-risk that failure by giving them a point where they feel more relaxed and where they feel more calm. And Google tried that as well. My startup, Gyropalm, actually tried this as well, is we introduced this hands-free gesture-based technology. I'm sure some of you saw from our booth us driving our autonomous robots. Now, not a lot of people know how easy it is to control Gyropalm, right? But through a gamified experience, we have this thing where we have users play through a maze. And 99% of the users who play through this maze, I then show them a robot. I show them, hey, here's a telepresence robot called the Omnibot, and I'd like you to drive that. Now, pretend you're the ball. And within moments, they're able to intuitively pick that up. Not just because they know how to drive a vehicle, but because they played through this gamified experience and learned practical skills. So I'm a huge believer in the idea of gamified experiences and getting intuitive interfaces in people's hands, because that's what matters at the end of the day, is when people can resonate feeling that is an extension of themselves.
Cool, thank you. Another topic that has come up has been, of course, AI. I don't think you can go anywhere in the Bay Area without someone bringing up AI, so I feel like I have to bring it up. Do people here have thoughts on how the recent advances in AI can have an impact on gaming in the gaming industry?
So I think AI is actually a very exciting era. We all know the NVIDIA Gamers Developer Conference, GTC, everything that's happening with Jensen Huang and the great NVIDIA era. Now, one of the exciting things about gaming and AI and now interactive experiences is that we can now spawn situations and scenarios that you've never encountered before. So, for example, like I said before, not only NPCs, but for example, if a flight, a flight simulator, for example, had an issue or a certain malfunction, I'm not one to, bring up which company has doors falling out of the sky, but I'm just saying that certain simulations or certain experiences that are usually very unlikely to happen, if you could simulate that and you can make pilots practice how to respond in dangerous situations without them actually happening, they'll know what the right thing is to do, and that can save lives. So we're not just talking about gaming for having a good time. Our essential focus should be to create gaming experiences that not only bring people together, but to enable them to have a more broader experience on practical situations, such as safety, how to save lives, and how to use AI to generate situations so that people don't have to run through them in real life, hopefully.
I would also like to add to that. So you have no idea how AI is enhancing the gaming experience in general. So when people play, when the players play the game and they're enjoying it, it's like 90% of it is actually AI. AI helps the gaming experience in identifying the difficulty level. So based on the player's behavior, they can understand like how is he actually performing in the game, and the game actually can be adjusted based on the player's behavior, and they can adjust the difficulty level, as well as some of the player's choice. So sometimes there are like some of the gaming experience where the player can actually choose whether to go this path or that path. This can actually generate like a different path based on the actual behavior and the player's choice itself. So I think it helps a lot in creating a very immersive and realistic experience that gives the player a feeling of autonomy, that he's actually controlling the game by himself.
May I add some practicality to this? There is a promise to investors that actually games will be cheaper to produce with the help of AI. I might piss off the creators, but there is an expectation that AI would make the producing of certain elements of the games faster and cheaper.
That's a great point.
Actually, I want to do a quick check in the audience. Are there people in the audience who have specific questions that they would like to throw up there?
And people are doing remote view, remote operate in game now as it stands. Ubisoft is a great case in point example of remote view, remote operate. Like Dominic is driving the Boston Dynamics Spot robot with the gyro palm. You could bring people up to a technical skill set in game and then deploy that in a real world scenario. Like totally see it happening all the time already anyway, including right. Cyberpunk 2077.
That's a good point. Who here has heard of Watch Dogs? Lots of you, right? I actually love that concept. It is a sci-fi concept that your controls and your in-game controls can be a digital extension of yourself, and that's certainly not a new concept, but it's a relatively new one as we gain the insights of getting into practicality. So. Like this gentleman said, we actually have, even with Gyropalm, the idea that gaming and interactive experiences, like the wearables that I have, should be in reality a digital extension of yourself. And so likewise, we can practically control robots, and smart cities and IoT, Internet of Things devices. And I honestly, wholeheartedly believe that such games, even for us, are inspirations. Scientific games like Iron Man, Minority Report, the Cyberpunk, so forth. Our company actually thrives on a lot of these scientific ideas and try to make them as real and practical as possible.
Can we
So-
have a mic to the gentleman over there? To take.
I think I can talk loud enough. I'll repeat your question. My question is basically the extolling of Sam Altman this morning. He did a podcast in which he said that he didn't actually believe artificial intelligence was a correct term. That basically, because it's not intelligent yet, he said that we're really just talking about advanced software. So I'm sorry it's such a generic question, but what exactly about this advanced software do you think is going to be so special in the gaming environment, how it applies to games? Are there any particular aspects of it? Thank
So
you.
the specific question was around kind of the excitement around AI, and specifically how AI will help game development or gameplay.
Well, we know that there are gamers who are tired of using cheat codes. So what they're doing is they're using computer vision algorithms. I don't condone this, but some folks actually train AI models to help them game. So they use things like OpenCV, perhaps object tracking, RCNN algorithms. I don't know. They're very creative. I've seen that. And what I've seen folks do is they use things called aimbots, right, to help them aim better in games, or they use autonomous controls. I've even worked with a colleague before to create peripherals that help with, improving people's interactivity in games. But I think it's a very insightful thing. It does take a new twist, right? Because the more innovative AI is now, there's lower frame rates. People can go higher frame rates, like 120, now it's like 200. Crazy, Back then, 30 frames was a very, very satisfactory frame rate.
Right, and I think we mentioned it before, but I'll explain it a little bit more for some of the people who are not gamers. But we talked specifically about NPCs, which stands for non-player characters. And so this is when you go into a game and you're walking around a village and you go up to someone and they're like, "Hello, your quest is to go find the golden key." And then you go up to them and they say, "Hello, your quest is to find the golden key," right? And so a lot of things that drive gaming is the quest or the storyline, right? And with NPCs being AI driven, it kind of opens the door for, I would say, more flexible, more exploratory, and more enriching kind of storylines and interactions, right? And there are actually quite a few startups in this space who are specifically building AI for NPCs.
And if I may add one, depending where you stay in respect with this idea, moderation. I mean, games came with a lot of good things, but sometimes they are toxic. And sometimes there is a need or a requirement of moderation. So far, this was done by humans. Right now, there are different ways where AI can actually automate moderation for voice, for text, for images, and even take automated actions. It's policing, it's not the fun and entertainment part, but it takes a task that was expensive and daunting and is doing it cheaper and without a harm other to the conscient AI that it's in the back seat somewhere.
Okay, as we come near the close of our time, I want to make sure I ask one question to all of you, which is, let's make bold, crazy predictions. So, 5 to 10 years from now, what is one thing you think may happen in kind of gaming or beyond that we can say now, record, and then 10 years from now when we come back, we can point to and be like, "Ha, I was completely wrong." Let's see.
Well, in my perspective, I've always believed in the idea of wearables and the idea that they can be an extension of yourself. And we're already kind of seeing that hint. Think Apple Vision Pro, think GyroPalm, think, HoloLens, all these exciting technologies. My prediction is that we will get to the point where we have already the blessing of AI to a good extent, right? They're going to be at some point, they're going to combine that with AR technology so that the AI could be a digital companion to you. It could help you have more immersive experiences, but ones that don't distract you, ones that you don't have to pull out your phone and, because believe it or not, a lot of people do that. They pull out their phone and they're so immersed into that, but there are going to be more seamless experiences in the future. And that's one thing that I hope for, and I think that we're seeing that more and more day to day.
Cool, thank you. Anyone else want to venture a wild prediction?
With the AI is evolving and all of these technology, this is very bold, but I would imagine ourselves really living in a virtual world, you know? But no, seriously, like, for example, one of the games that went viral is actually Pokemon Go, if you remember this game. Pokemon Go went viral. Why? Because it was really integrated with the real environment. So you basically pick up your phone, trying to find a Pokemon in your environment. So you actually walk. So a Pokemon fan? Okay. So I would imagine lots of immersive experience that is, kudos for you. I would imagine lots of immersive experiences that is being really and closely integrated with the real world and the actual environment.
I'm going to steal one of the ideas that I heard from them because I'm not imaginative enough. And my hope is that we will have a better Second Life version than the 2003, that it's going to happen in metaverse, and where we will always be able to create our own avatars and do the things that we were trying to do in Second Life and live differently there.
I'd like to add a quick note to that. A lot of people think Second Life, they're like, well, why do I have to spend so much time? Why do I have to invest in this, AI, AR, VR? If it's my Second Life or it's my digital life, why invest? Why do all this stuff? What's the point, right? But here's the truth, though. It's not just if you truly feel that it's a digital extension of yourself, and you truly believe that, and it makes you a more patient person, if you feel it makes in general people more patient or more productive, then it's a real fact. It's not fake, right? It's not a fake AI. It really made you a more patient, real person. So I truly believe in that notion. I don't think AI is fake. I think it can make people better people if used right.
Cool. I'm going to take this moment to talk a little bit about VR because Rook's opened the door. So my prediction is, a lot of people are kind of down on VR now because, it got promised to us 10 years ago. Hasn't come out yet, but I think in the next 10 years, it's going to happen. And the thing that's interesting about it to me is as we talk about gamification, right? VR by itself is not a game. It's a medium, right? But what it does is it allows us to create this second mirror world, if you will, that has different rules than this one, right? So I would argue that in this world, we have gamification. The US tax code is a gamification, right? That makes us do different things, right? And when you enter kind of like this second world, whether it's, Second Life or VR chat or any of these things, what it opens the door to is more experimentation in these gamification loops, right? Where you could reward behavior or penalize behavior. And I think that will be a very interesting world where we see more gamification in our lives because when we have more of a virtual environment, it allows for more of these things to happen.
I think cognitive skill acquisition through this gamification process, and not only that, but hands-on skill competencies are going to provide a lot of new opportunities that people have probably not seen before. People would not have seen that they were able to do that. For example, in my experience today, I see a lot of people who drove the Omnibus, and I've never seen them before. They've tried this for the first time, and in moments they could drive it. So for me, I'm happy and I'm amazed to see this process of gamification be so effective. And I really wish for the best, as more companies try to adopt this, and as well as, also adopt this technology of being a digital extension.
So I think we're near the end of time. And I'll say maybe everyone here can do like one word or one sentence to kind of wrap up. After we've had this great conversation, how are you feeling about gaming in general and kind of the future of gaming?
I would say, yeah, go ahead, please.
Trustful. I'm trusting more into the power of going beyond entertainment in game?
If I would say one word, I would say gaming will actually take over the world.
I'd say empowered. It used to be one of our project keywords, but people do feel empowered when they use wireless technologies like ours and all these other game input and techniques and digital extensions.
So there you have it. I think this panel has a very optimistic, positive view about kind of how technology and innovation in gaming can kind of empower future generations to learn better, to be better, and make our society in generally a better place.